The clang of steel gates echoes like a gunshot through the cold morning air of Riverton Women's Correctional Facility, Ohio. Officer Sarah Kane, 32, stands at the edge of the courtyard, her boots crunching gravel, her breath fogging in the dawn chill. She's been here 5 years, long enough to know the rhythm of this place. The hum of fluorescent lights, the low murmur of inmates, the weight of silence in solitary. But today something's off. Her pulse thrums too fast, like she's chasing a perp down an alley instead of watching women shuffle to breakfast. Her eyes lock on inmate 4729, Riley Harper, 28, leaning against the courtyard wall. Riley's auburn hair catches the sunrise, a defiant flame in the gray monotony. She's serving 3 years for a nonviolent drug charge, a first offense that screamed bad luck more than bad intentions. Sarah's seen her file. Foster kid, rough life, no family. Yet Riley's got this spark. Eyes that hold you like a secret you're dying to tell. Sarah hates how those eyes make her chest tighten. "Harper, move it." Sarah barks, her voice sharper than intended. The other inmates glance over, but Riley just smirks, slow and deliberate, like she knows something Sarah doesn't. That smirk. It's been haunting Sarah for months. It's not just defiance. It's a challenge, a question, a pull she can't shake. Sarah's supposed to be untouchable. A cop's daughter, raised on discipline and duty. She's built her life on rules. This job, this uniform, it's her armor. But Riley? Riley's a crack in that armor. A whisper of something Sarah's buried since she was a teenager, sneaking glances at her best friend in gym class. She's not supposed to feel this. Not here. Not for her. The courtyard buzzes as inmates file toward the mess hall. Sarah's radio crackles. Kane checked the west gate. She nods to no one, grateful for the distraction. But as she passes Riley, their shoulders brush. It's barely a touch, but it's electric, like a wire sparking in the rain. Riley's breath hitches, a sound so soft Sarah might have imagined it. "You okay, officer?" Riley's voice is low, teasing, but there's a tremor in it. Sarah freezes, her clipboard a flimsy shield. She should snap back, keep the line clear, officer and inmate, nothing more. But her throat's dry and the words stick. "Keep moving, Harper," she mutters, turning away. Her boots echo on the concrete, but she feels Riley's gaze burning into her back. Inside the mess hall, the air smells of stale coffee and overcooked eggs. Sarah scans the room, her training kicking in, watch for tension, for hidden shivs, for anything out of place. But her eyes keep drifting to Riley, who's sitting alone, picking at her tray. A guard nearby laughs too loud and Riley flinches, a small motion that twists something in Sarah's gut. She remembers the first time she noticed Riley, 6 months ago, during a routine cell check. Riley was sketching in a battered notebook, her fingers smudged with pencil lead. It was a drawing of a bird, wings spread, like it was about to soar over the barbed wire. Sarah had almost confiscated it, contraband technically, but she didn't. She couldn't. That bird felt like a piece of Riley's soul, and taking it would have been like stealing air. Now Riley glances up, catching Sarah's stare. For a split second, the noise of the mess hall fades, the clatter of trays, the hum of voices, the static of her radio. It's just them, locked in a moment that feels too big for this place. Sarah's heart pounds like a fist on a locked door. "Officer Kane." The shift supervisor's voice cuts through. "You're on rec yard duty. Now." Sarah nods, tearing her eyes away. She steps outside, the cold air slapping her face, grounding her. The rec yard is a concrete cage, surrounded by chain link and razor wire. Inmates mill about, some shooting hoops, others huddled in groups, their breath steaming in the morning frost. Riley's there, leaning against a bench, her jumpsuit too thin for the chill. Sarah wants to toss her a jacket, but that's a line she can't cross. Not yet. The morning drags, heavy with routine. Sarah's trained to see threats, but all she sees is Riley, her quiet defiance, the way she tucks a strand of hair behind her ear, the way her laugh, rare as it is, sounds like music in this hellhole. Sarah's falling and she knows it. The rules are clear. No personal connections, no weakness. but every glance from Riley feels like a dare to break them. By noon the sun's higher but the air's still sharp. Sarah's at the guard post, logging incident reports when Riley approaches holding a folded note. "Found this in the yard," Riley says, her voice neutral, but her eyes are alive, searching. Sarah takes the note, their fingers brushing again. This time it's deliberate. The paper's warm from Riley's hand, and Sarah's pulse spikes. She should report it, notes are contraband, a red flag. But she doesn't open it. Not here. "Back to your post, Harper," Sarah says, her voice low, almost a whisper. Riley nods, but there's a flicker of something, hope maybe, in her eyes as she walks away. Sarah slips the note into her pocket, her fingers trembling. She knows she's standing on the edge of something dangerous, something that could cost her everything. Her job, her reputation, her carefully built life. But as the gate clangs shut behind Riley, Sarah feels it. The pull of a forbidden love, growing stronger with every heartbeat. The note burns a hole in Sarah's pocket all afternoon. She's on patrol, her boots echoing through the cell block, but her mind's elsewhere, on Riley, on that fleeting touch, on the weight of what she's risking. The prison hums with its usual chaos. Shouts from the rec room, the distant clang of a gate, the low buzz of fluorescent lights. But all Sarah hears is her own heartbeat, loud as a drum in her ears. She doesn't read the note until her break, locked in the staff bathroom, the only place she can steal 5 minutes of privacy. The fluorescent light flickers, casting harsh shadows on the chipped tiles. Her fingers shake as she unfolds the paper. Riley's handwriting is messy but deliberate, like she poured herself into every letter. "I see you, Sarah. Not just the badge. You." 6 words. They hit like a punch, stealing her breath. Sarah leans against the sink, the cold porcelain grounding her. She's spent years hiding her feelings, her doubts, the part of her that aches for something more than this gray, rule-bound life. But Riley sees her, and it terrifies her as much as it thrills her. She crumples the note, then smooths it out, tucking it back into her pocket. She can't keep it. She shouldn't. But throwing it away feels like betraying something fragile, something real. Back on duty, Sarah's hyper-aware of Riley. It's lockdown hour, and the inmates are in their cells. Sarah walks the tier, her flashlight cutting through the dimness. Riley's in cell 19, sitting on her bunk, sketching again. The pencil scratches softly, a sound that tugs at Sarah's chest. She pauses outside the bars longer than she should. "Lights out in 10, Harper," Sarah says, her voice softer than regulation. Riley looks up, her eyes catching the flashlight's glow. "You read it, didn't you?" she murmurs, barely audible. Sarah's throat tightens. She should walk away, report the note, keep the line clear. But she doesn't. "Go to sleep, Riley," she says instead, her voice cracking just enough to betray her. Riley's lips curve, not quite a smile but close. "Night, officer." The rest of Sarah's shift is a blur. She's distracted, sloppy, missing the usual sharpness that's kept her safe in this job. Her partner, Officer Daniels, a grizzled vet with a permanent scowl, notices. "You good, Kane? You're off today." "Fine," Sarah lies, her hand brushing the note in her pocket. "Just tired." But she's not tired. She's alive, too alive, like every nerve is sparking at once. By the time her shift ends, the sun's sinking, painting the prison's concrete walls in shades of orange and pink. Sarah clocks out, her boots heavy as she heads to her truck. She sits in the driver's seat, staring at the note again, rereading those 6 words until they're burned into her mind. At home, in her small apartment on the edge of town, Sarah can't shake Riley. The place smells faintly of coffee and laundry detergent, but it feels empty, sterile, like the prison. She pours a glass of whiskey, the burn grounding her, but it doesn't stop the memories. Growing up, she buried her feelings for girls. First crushes, stolen glances, because her dad, a cop, drilled duty into her. "Canes don't bend," he'd say. So she didn't. She dated guys, played the part, became the cop he wanted. But Riley's unraveling all of it. The next morning, Sarah's back at Rivwerton. Her uniform crisp but her mind a mess. She's on yard duty again and Riley's there, shooting hoops with a few other inmates. Her movements are fluid, confident, but there's a tension in her shoulders, like she's carrying something heavy. Sarah watches from the guard post, her sunglasses hiding her stare. Then it happens, a fight breaks out. Two inmates, arguing over a foul, start shoving. Sarah's training kicks in. She's in the middle barking orders, pulling them apart. But in the chaos, Riley's pushed against the fence, and Sarah's there, shielding her instinctively. Their bodies are close, too close, the heat of Riley's breath grazing Sarah's neck. "You okay?" Sarah whispers, her voice raw. Riley nods, her eyes wide, searching. "You didn't have to do that." But Sarah did. She had to. And that scares her more than anything. The fight's broken up, the inmates separated, but Sarah's rattled. She writes up the incident report, her handwriting shaky. Riley's sent back to her cell and Sarah avoids her for the rest of the day. But the note's still in her pocket, a secret she can't let go. That night, Sarah lies awake, the hum of her ceiling fan filling the silence. She thinks of Riley's sketch, that bird, wings spread, yearning for freedom. She wonders what Riley sees in her. A cop, a woman, a way out? Or something more? The next day, Sarah's assigned to escort Riley to the infirmary for a routine check. The hallway's quiet, just the squeak of their shoes and the faint drip of a leaky pipe. Riley's wrists are cuffed, per protocol, but Sarah keeps the chain loose, her fingers brushing Riley's arm as they walk. "Why'd you write it?" Sarah asks, her voice barely above a whisper. Riley glances at her, eyes steady. "Because you're not like them. You see me too." Sarah's chest aches. She wants to say something, anything, but the infirmary door looms ahead. She uncuffs Riley, her fingers lingering a moment too long. The nurse calls Riley in and Sarah stands guard outside, her heart pounding like it's trying to break free. She knows she's crossing lines, blurring boundaries that could ruin her. But Riley's words, her touch, her gaze, they're a spark in the dark, and Sarah's not sure she can resist the fire. The infirmary smells of antiseptic and regret. Sarah stands outside, her back against the wall, the note still tucked in her pocket like a guilty secret. Riley's words echo in her head. "You see me too." They're a lifeline and a landmine, pulling her closer to something she can't name and shouldn't want. The hum of the prison feels louder today, oppressive, like the walls are closing in. Inside, Riley's getting a routine check, blood pressure, vitals, the usual. Sarah can hear the nurse's clipped voice through the door, but her mind's on Riley's touch in the hallway, the way her arm felt warm under Sarah's fingers. She clenches her fist, trying to shake it off. She's a cop. She's supposed to be in control. But control feels like a lie when Riley's around. The door opens and Riley steps out, her jumpsuit wrinkled, her eyes catching Sarah's instantly. The nurse hands Sarah the chart, muttering about a clean bill of health, but Sarah barely hears her. Riley's cuffed again, and they walk back to the cell block in silence, the air thick with unspoken words. The hallway's narrow, their shoulders brushing with every step. Sarah smells the faint citrus of Riley's shampoo, a detail that shouldn't matter but does. At cell 19, Sarah uncuffs her, her hands steady but her pulse racing. Riley pauses, her fingers grazing Sarah's wrist, deliberate this time. "You didn't answer me," Riley says, her voice low, almost a challenge. Sarah's breath catches. She glances down the hall, empty for now. "I can't," she whispers, but it sounds weak, like a plea. Riley leans closer, just enough to make the air spark. "You already are." The words hang there, heavy, undeniable. Sarah steps back, her boots loud against the concrete, and locks the cell door. The clang echoes, final, but it doesn't feel like an end. Feels like a beginning. Back at her post, Sarah's distracted, her mind replaying Riley's touch, her words, that damn note. She's slipping and she knows it. The other guards notice. Daniels raises an eyebrow during roll call, and the supervisor, Lieutenant Carter, gives her a hard look. Focus, Kane. This place doesn't forgive mistakes. Sarah nods, but her thoughts are on Riley. She's seen inmates try to manipulate guards before, flirt, charm, exploit weaknesses. But Riley's different. Her eyes don't lie. They're raw, unguarded, like she's offering something real in a place built on distrust. That night, Sarah dreams of the bird from Riley's sketch, its wings beating against a cage, feathers falling like ash. She wakes in a cold sweat, her apartment dark except for the glow of her alarm clock. 3:17 a.m. She grabs the note from her nightstand, rereading it under the dim light of her phone. I see you, Sarah. She traces the words, her fingers trembling. The next day, Sarah's on kitchen duty, overseeing the inmates as they prep lunch. The air's thick with the smell of boiled potatoes and grease. Riley's there, chopping carrots with a plastic knife, her movements precise but tense. Sarah watches from the corner, her clipboard a prop to hide her stare. A fight breaks out, two inmates over a spilled tray, voices rising, fists swinging. Sarah moves in, shouting for order, but it's Riley who steps between them, her voice calm but firm. Back off, both of you. The room stills. The inmates step back, and Sarah feels a surge of pride she shouldn't. Riley's not just defusing a fight. She's showing strength, the kind that doesn't need a badge. Harper with me, Sarah snaps, more for show than necessity. She leads Riley to a storage closet, away from prying eyes. The door clicks shut, and the air's heavy with the scent of cleaning supplies and something electric. You didn't have to do that, Sarah says, her voice low. Riley shrugs, her eyes steady. Didn't do it for you. But Sarah knows better. She sees it in the way Riley's jaw tightens, the way her fingers flex like she's holding back. What do you want, Riley? Sarah asks, the question slipping out before she can stop it. Riley steps closer, her breath warm against Sarah's cheek. You know what I want. The air crackles. Sarah's heart slams against her ribs, and for a moment she's not a cop, not an officer, just a woman standing too close to someone who sees her. She wants to close the gap, to feel Riley's lips, to let go of the rules that chain her. But the radio crackles. Kane, report to the yard. And reality crashes in. She steps back, her face burning. This can't happen, she says, but her voice shakes. Riley's eyes soften, almost sad. It already is. Sarah leaves the closet, her boots echoing, her mind a storm. She spends the rest of her shift avoiding Riley, but it's useless. Every glance, every memory of that note, pulls her deeper. She's breaking rules she swore to uphold, and the worst part? She's not sure she wants to stop. That night, Sarah sits in her truck outside the prison, the engine off, the note in her hand. She thinks of her dad, his voice in her head. Canes don't bend. But she's bending, breaking, falling. For Riley. For herself. The prison's morning roll call is a blur of barked names and clanging gates, but Sarah's barely present. Her eyes keep drifting to Riley, standing in line, her jumpsuit loose, her gaze fixed on the floor. Last night's moment in the closet lingers like a bruise. Riley's breath on her cheek. The words it already is echoing in her skull. Sarah's losing her grip, and the weight of it sits heavy in her chest, like the air before a storm. She's on cell block patrol, the air thick with the smell of bleach and sweat. The other guards move with practiced ease, but Sarah's steps feel unsteady, like she's walking a tightrope. She passes Riley's cell, and there's that sketch again, taped to the wall. A new one, a woman's silhouette against a barred window, her face half hidden. Sarah's breath catches. Is it her? Keep moving, Kane. Daniels grunts from behind, snapping her back. She nods, but her hand brushes the note in her pocket. A reflex now. She hasn't written back. She can't. But every time she sees Riley, she wants to. At lunch, Sarah's stationed in the mess hall, the clatter of trays and low hum of voices filling the space. Riley's at a corner table, alone again, her fork pushing food around like she's too distracted to eat. Sarah knows that feeling, her own appetite's gone, replaced by a gnawing ache she can't name. Then it happens. An inmate, a lifer named Carla, leans over Riley's table, her voice low but sharp. Sarah's too far to hear, but she sees Riley tense, her shoulders hunching. Carla's hand slams the table and Riley flinches, her tray skidding. Sarah's moving before she thinks, her boots loud against the linoleum. "Back off, Carla," Sarah snaps, her voice cutting through the noise. Carla smirks, leaning back. "Just talking, officer. No harm." Sarah's eyes flick to Riley, who's staring at her tray, her knuckles white around her fork. "You okay, Harper?" Sarah asks, softer than she means to. Riley nods, but her eyes say something else. Fear, maybe, or gratitude. Sarah wants to ask, to pull her aside. But the mess hall's too public, too many eyes. She escorts Carla to the supervisor instead, her heart pounding. Later in the rec yard, Sarah finds Riley sitting on a bench, her knees pulled up, her sketchbook open. The air smells of dust and faint cigarette smoke, contraband, someone sneaking. Sarah approaches, her shadow falling over Riley's page. "What did Carla want?" Sarah asks, keeping her voice low. Riley's pencil pauses. "Just stirring shit. Said she saw us in the closet. Thinks she can use it." Sarah's stomach drops. "Blackmail. It's common here, leverage is currency. But this is personal. What did you tell her?" Riley looks up, her eyes fierce. "Nothing. I'd never." The words hit hard. A promise Sarah didn't expect. She sits beside Riley, too close for protocol. But the yard's quiet, the other guards distracted. "You don't owe me that," Sarah says. Riley's laugh is bitter. "Don't I? You're the only one here who treats me like I'm human." Sarah's throat tightens. She wants to say something, to tell Riley she's more than human. She's a fire Sarah can't put out. But the words stick and the moment passes. That night Sarah's off duty, but she can't stay away. She drives to a dive bar on the edge of town, the kind where nobody asks questions. The jukebox plays a sad country song, and the air smells of stale beer and regret. She downs a shot, then another, trying to drown the pull of Riley's eyes, her voice, her touch. But it's no use. She's in too deep. The next day, Sarah's back at Riverton, her head pounding but her resolve frayed. She's assigned to escort Riley to a counseling session, a mandatory check-in for inmates nearing parole. The counselor's office is small, cluttered, with a faint smell of old books. Riley sits across from the counselor, her hands folded, her answers clipped. Sarah stands by the door, trying not to listen, but every word pulls her in. "I want to start over," Riley says, her voice steady but raw. "Somewhere new. Somewhere I can be me." The counselor nods, jotting notes, but Sarah's frozen. Be me. She wonders who Riley is outside these walls, without the jumpsuit, the number, the past. She wonders who she'd be without her badge, her rules, her fear. After the session, they walk back in silence, the hallway's fluorescent buzz filling the space. Sarah's hand brushes Riley's, and this time neither pulls away. It's a small rebellion, but it feels like a vow. "Sarah," Riley whispers, her voice barely audible. It's the first time she's said her name like that, soft, like a secret meant to be kept. Sarah stops, her heart slamming. "Don't," she says, but there's no force behind it. Riley's eyes lock on hers, unflinching. "I'm not sorry." Sarah wants to run, to hide, to cling to the rules that have kept her safe. But Riley's gaze holds her, and for the first time she doesn't look away. The air in Riverton feels heavier now. Like the walls know Sarah's secret. She's breaking every rule she's lived by, and Riley's name is a pulse in her veins, steady but dangerous. The prison's routine, gates clanging, radios crackling, boots on concrete, feels like a cage closing around her. She's not just guarding inmates anymore. She's guarding herself and failing. It's early, the sky outside still bruised with dawn. Sarah's on laundry duty, the air thick with the hum of industrial washers and the sharp scent of detergent. Riley's there, folding sheets with a quiet focus, her hands quick but careful. Sarah watches from the doorway, her clipboard forgotten. Riley's fingers brush a stray hair from her face, and Sarah's chest aches with a want she can't name. "Harper, you're slow today," Sarah says, her voice a weak attempt at authority. Riley glances up, a half-smile playing on her lips. "You're watching too close, officer." The words are teasing, but they land like a spark on dry grass. Sarah steps closer, pretending to inspect the stack of sheets. Their shoulders brush and the air crackles. She smells Riley's citrus shampoo again, mixed with the faint sweat of the laundry room. It's intoxicating and Sarah hates how much she craves it. "Careful," Sarah murmurs, her voice low. "Carla's watching." Riley's smile fades, her eyes flicking to the corner where Carla's sorting towels, her gaze sharp. "She's got nothing," Riley says, but there's a tremor in her voice. Sarah wants to believe her, but fear gnaws at her. Carla's threat, knowing about the closet, could end her career. Worse, it could hurt Riley. She's seen what happens to inmates labeled as snitches or troublemakers. Isolation, retaliation, worse. The thought twists her gut. The day drags, each moment a battle to keep her distance. But Riley's everywhere. Her laugh in the rec yard, her silhouette in the cell block, her sketchbook open to a new drawing, this one of two hands reaching through bars. Sarah's sure it's them, and it makes her heart race with equal parts fear and longing. At lunch, Sarah's in the mess hall when Carter, the supervisor, pulls her aside. "Kane, you're slipping," he says, his voice low, his eyes hard. "Heard rumors. You getting too close to an inmate." Sarah's blood runs cold. She forces a laugh, her throat dry. "Rumors? Come on, Lieutenant. You know me." Carter doesn't smile. "I know you're good, Kane. Don't make me doubt it." She nods, her stomach churning, and spends the rest of her shift on edge, avoiding Riley's gaze. But avoidance doesn't work. Riley's a magnet pulling her back. That evening, Sarah's assigned to night rounds, the cell block quiet except for the soft snores and occasional coughs. She pauses at Riley's cell, her flashlight's beam catching Riley awake, sitting on her bunk, her sketchbook closed. "Can't sleep," Sarah whispers, her voice barely carrying through the bars. Riley looks up, her eyes soft in the dim light. "Not when you're out there." Sarah's breath catches. She should walk away, but her feet won't move. "Riley, this we can't." Riley stands, stepping close to the bars, her fingers curling around them. "Then why were you here?" The question cuts deep. Sarah doesn't have an answer, not one she can say out loud. She's here because Riley's the first person in years who's made her feel alive, not just a badge. Because every touch, every glance, is a rebellion against the life she's been told to live. "I don't know," Sarah admits, her voice breaking. Riley's hand reaches through the bars, her fingers brushing Sarah's. It's a small touch, but it's everything: warm, real, forbidden. Sarah doesn't pull away. "Be careful," Riley whispers. "Carla's not bluffing." Sarah nods, her throat tight. She steps back, the flashlight shaking in her hand, and continues her rounds. But Riley's touch lingers, a promise and a warning. The next day Sarah's off, but she can't stay away. She drives to the prison, parking in the lot, watching the gates from her truck. The note's in her hand again, worn from being unfolded and refold. She writes a reply, her pen shaking. "I see you too." She doesn't know how she'll get it to Riley, or if she even should. But the words feel like a confession, a step across a line she can't uncross. Back at work, Sarah's assigned to the visiting room. Riley's there, meeting with a social worker about her parole hearing, now just weeks away. Sarah watches from the corner, her heart twisting as Riley talks, her hands animated, her eyes bright with hope. As Sarah escorts her back, Riley's quiet, her steps slow. "If I get out," she says, "will you still see me?" The question hits like a freight train. Sarah stops, her hand on Riley's arm, the hallway empty for a fleeting moment. "I don't know," she says, but her voice cracks, betraying her. Riley's eyes search hers, soft but fierce. Oh, wait. Sarah's heart breaks open, raw and aching. She wants to promise everything: freedom, a future, a life beyond these walls. But the radio crackles and duty pulls her back. Sarah's reply to Riley's note sits heavy in her pocket, a folded scrap of paper that feels like a grenade. I see you too. 3 words written in the dark of her truck, but they carry the weight of everything she's tried to bury. She hasn't given it to Riley yet, can't find the moment or the courage. The prison's rhythm grinds on, relentless. The buzz of alarms, the shuffle of inmates, the cold clank of steel. But Sarah's world is shrinking, narrowing to Riley's voice, her eyes, the way her presence hums like a live wire. It's a gray Tuesday, the air damp with impending rain. Sarah's on rec yard duty, the sky low and heavy, mirroring her mood. Riley's playing cards with a few inmates, her laugh sharp and bright, cutting through the yard's dull roar. Sarah watches from the guard post, her sunglasses hiding the way her eyes linger. She's supposed to be scanning for trouble, but all she sees is Riley, the way her fingers flick a card, the way her lips curve when she wins a hand. Then Carla's there, sidling up to Riley's table, her shadow falling over the game. Sarah tenses, her hand on her radio, ready to intervene. Carla leans in, whispering something, and Riley's face hardens. She says nothing, just gathers her cards and walks away. But Sarah sees the shake in her hands, the fear she's trying to hide. Sarah's across the yard in seconds, her boots kicking up dust. Carla, back off, she says, her voice low but sharp. Carla smirks, her eyes glinting with malice. Careful, officer. People are talking. Sarah's blood runs cold, but she holds her ground. Nothing to talk about. Move. Carla saunters off, but the damage is done. Sarah feels the eyes of other inmates, other guards. The air's thick with suspicion, and she knows she's slipping further, her armor cracking under the weight of Riley's pull. Later in the cell block, Sarah finds Riley alone, sitting on her bunk, her sketchbook open to a half-finished drawing. A pair of eyes, sharp and familiar. Sarah's eyes. Her heart stumbles. You okay? Sarah asks, her voice barely above the hum of the cell block. Riley looks up, her gaze steady but tired. Carla knows. She's got a guard in her pocket. Says she'll report us unless I give her something. Sarah's stomach twists. What does she want? Money. Contraband. Doesn't matter. She wants control. Riley's voice is flat, but her eyes are alive with fear. I won't let her touch you, Sarah. The sound of her name, raw and soft, breaks something in Sarah. She steps closer to the bars, her fingers itching to reach through. You don't have to protect me, she says. Riley's laugh is hollow. Someone has to. Sarah's reply burns in her pocket. She pulls it out, her hand trembling, and slips it through the bars. Don't open it now, she whispers. Wait. Riley takes it, her fingers brushing Sarah's, a spark that lingers. She nods, tucking the note under her mattress, her eyes never leaving Sarah's. The rest of Sarah's shift is a blur of routine, patrols, reports, the usual grind. But her mind's on Riley, on the note, on Carla's threat. She's in too deep and the stakes are climbing. If Carla talks, Sarah could lose her job, her freedom. Riley could lose her shot at parole. But walking away isn't an option anymore. That night, Sarah sits in her apartment, the TV droning in the background, a half-empty beer sweating on the table. She thinks of Riley reading the note, of what those 3 words might mean to her. She thinks of her dad, his voice in her head. Canes don't bend. But she's not just a cane anymore. She's Sarah, and Sarah's falling hard and fast. The next day, Sarah's back at Riverton, her nerves raw. She's on gate duty, checking inmates in and out of the visitors' room. Riley's there, meeting with her social worker again. Sarah watches through the glass, her heart aching as Riley talks, her hands gesturing, her eyes bright with hope for a life beyond these walls. As Sarah escorts her back, Riley's quiet, her steps slow. Parole's in 2 weeks, she says, her voice soft. If I get it, I'm gone. Sarah's chest tightens. Where to? Riley shrugs, a small smile tugging at her lips. Somewhere I can breathe. You ever think about that, Sarah? Breathing. Sarah stops, the hallway empty. The air heavy with the scent of damp concrete. Every day, she admits, her voice raw. Riley's eyes soften, and for a moment they're not cop and prisoner. Just two women, caught in something bigger than the bars between them. But the moment shatters. Carter's voice crackles over the radio. Kane, my office. Now. Sarah's heart sinks. She knows what's coming. Carla's talked. Sarah's boots echo down the hall to Carter's office. Each step a hammer against her chest. The air smells of stale coffee and bureaucracy. The fluorescent lights buzzing like a warning. She knows what this is about, Carla's threat, the rumors, her own recklessness. Her hand brushes the empty pocket where Riley's note used to be, now replaced by the weight of her own reply, given to Riley last night. I see you too. She wonders if Riley's read it, if it's changed anything, or if it's just another mistake in a string of them. Carter's office is small, cluttered with files and a flickering computer screen. He's behind his desk, his face hard, a manila folder open in front of him. Sit, Kane, he says, his voice clipped. Sarah sits, her spine rigid, her pulse loud in her ears. The chair creaks, a small sound that feels too loud in the tense silence. Got a report, Carter says, tapping the folder. Inmate claims you're fraternizing. Harper, 4729. That true? Sarah's throat closes. She forces her face to stay neutral, years of training kicking in. No, sir. Just doing my job. Carter leans forward, his eyes narrowing. Don't bullshit me, Kane. I've seen you. You're distracted. Too close. Notes, whispers, looks. It stops now or you're out. Sarah's stomach lurches. She thinks of Riley's eyes, her touch, the sketch of those hands reaching through bars. She thinks of her dad's voice. Canes don't bend, but she's bending, breaking, and she can't stop. Understood, sir, she says, her voice steady despite the storm inside. Carter dismisses her, but his warning hangs like smoke. Sarah heads to the rec yard, her mind racing. She needs to see Riley to warn her, to figure out how to protect them both. The yard's crowded, the air thick with the scent of sweat and dust. Riley's there, sitting alone on a bench, her sketchbook closed, her eyes distant. Sarah approaches, keeping her distance for the other guard's sake. We need to talk, she says, her voice low, her sunglasses hiding her fear. Riley looks up, her face pale. She talked, didn't she? Sarah nods, her jaw tight. Carter knows. We need to be careful. Riley's eyes flash with defiance. I'm not scared of her. Or him. You should be, Sarah snaps, harsher than she means. This isn't a game, Riley. You could lose parole. I could lose everything. Riley stands, stepping closer, her voice a whisper. Then why were you still here? The question cuts deep, the same one Riley asked before, but now it's raw, urgent. Sarah doesn't answer, can't. She walks away, her boots kicking up gravel, her heart a tangled mess of fear and want. That night, Sarah's in her apartment, the silence deafening. She paces, the floor creaking under her steps, the note's words, I see you too, burning in her mind. She thinks of Riley's parole hearing, just days away now. If Riley gets out, she'll be free, but Sarah will lose her. If she doesn't, they're both trapped, their secret a ticking bomb. The next day, Sarah's on cell block duty, her eyes scanning for Riley. She finds her in the library, sorting books, her movements slow like she's carrying a weight. Sarah approaches, pretending to check the shelves. Carla's pushing harder, Riley murmurs, her voice barely audible over the rustle of pages. Wants me to smuggle for her. Says she'll keep quiet if I do. Sarah's blood runs cold. You can't. Riley, you're so close to getting out. Riley's eyes meet hers, fierce but tired. And what about you? You gonna keep pretending this is nothing? Sarah's breath catches. She wants to say it's not nothing, that it's everything, but the library's too open, too many ears. Just hold on, she says instead. We'll figure it out. But the words feel hollow. Sarah spends her shift on edge, every radio crackle making her flinch. She's losing control, and the prison's closing in, its walls a mirror of the one she's built around herself. That evening, Sarah's assigned to lockdown, the cell block quiet except for the soft hum of lights. She pauses at Riley's cell, her flashlight's beam catching Riley's face, awake and waiting. I read it, Riley whispers, her hand on the note under her mattress. Your note. It's enough, Sarah. For now. Sarah's heart twists, a mix of relief and ache. She wants to say more, to promise something, but the bars between them feel like a truth she can't escape. Get some sleep, Sarah says, her voice soft, and walks away, the clang of her boots echoing like a countdown. The day of Riley's parole hearing dawns cold, the sky a flat gray over Riverton. Sarah's off duty, but she's here anyway, sitting in her truck in the prison lot, her hands gripping the steering wheel. The air smells of rain and diesel, and her breath fogs the windshield. She hasn't slept, not really, not since Riley's words last night. It's enough, Sarah. For now. They're a lifeline, but they're also a deadline. Today could change everything or end it. Inside, Riley's in a small room, facing a parole board that holds her future. Sarah can't be there, can't even watch, but she imagines Riley's steady voice, her fierce eyes, the way she'd fight for her freedom. Sarah's own fight is quieter, internal, a war between duty and desire. She thinks of the note, of Riley's sketches, of every stolen touch. She thinks of Carter's warning, Carla's threat, the rules she's broken. Her phone buzzes. A text from Daniels. Hearing's done. She's out. Sarah's heart leaps, then sinks. Riley's free. But what does that mean for them? She waits, the minutes dragging, until she sees Riley at the gate. A small duffel over her shoulder, her jumpsuit gone, replaced by jeans and a faded jacket. She looks different, smaller somehow, but brighter, like the world's opening up. Sarah steps out of her truck, her boots crunching gravel, her uniform swapped for a hoodie and jeans. Riley sees her and her face lights up, a smile that breaks Sarah's heart. They meet halfway, the air charged, the prison looming behind them. You're out, Sarah says, her voice rough like she's been shouting. Riley nods, her eyes searching Sarah's. Yeah, feels weird. They stand there, the wind carrying the scent of damp earth, the distant clang of a gate reminding them where they are. Sarah wants to reach out, to pull Riley close, but the weight of her badge, even off duty, holds her back. What now? Sarah asks, the question heavy with everything unsaid. Riley steps closer, her breath warm in the cold air. I meant what I said, Sarah. I'll wait. But you gotta figure out what you want. Sarah's throat tightens. She wants Riley, her laugh, her fire, her sketches that see the world in ways Sarah never could. But she's still a cop, still a cane, still bound by rules she's not sure she can break. I don't know how, Sarah admits, her voice barely a whisper. Riley's hand finds hers, a brief, forbidden touch. You'll figure it out. You're braver than you think. Riley walks away, her duffel swinging, her steps light but deliberate. Sarah watches until she's gone, the gate clanging shut behind her. The prison feels emptier, colder, but Sarah's heart is full of hope, of fear, of a love she never expected. Months later, Sarah's changed. She's still at Riverton, still wearing the badge, but it fits differently now. She's quieter, more deliberate, like she's carrying a secret that's hers to keep. Carla's threats faded. Without Riley, there's no leverage, no proof. Carter watches her, but Sarah's careful, her armor rebuilt but softer, more human. She finds a letter in her mailbox one day. No return address, just Riley's messy handwriting. I'm in Chicago. Got a job at an art shop. Breathing now. You should try it. Tucked inside is a sketch. A bird free soaring over a city skyline. Sarah frames it, hangs it in her apartment, a reminder of what could be. She's not ready to leave Riverton, not yet. But she's thinking about it, about a life where she's not just a cop, not just a cane. A life where she can be Sarah and maybe, just maybe, find Riley again. The prison's gates still clang, the rules still bind, but Sarah's heart beats stronger now, fueled by a love that broke through bars and left her changed. She doesn't know what's next, but for the first time she's not afraid.